Welcome home. We are WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are taking the Maryland Crab Cake Tour back out on the road. I am working on like a bunch of dates into November and December. We have the governor coming on, amongst others, as well as the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, for the holidays. Putting it all together, getting it all out. It's all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. We were up at Hollywood Casino as well as last week at Drug City. I'm wearing my Drug City shirt, celebrating 55 years of my life, and even more than that at Drug City up in the tasting room. My son stopped by. We had great guests, George Shulin. My one time, I'd like to say he was my physics teacher, my biology, but I didn't take any of his classes at Dundalk High. He was the science teacher that always taught the classes I couldn't go to. You'll hear all of that, as well as Chuck Jacobs and Luke Jones joining us from Drug City. It's also brought to you by our friends at Win Donation, 866-90-NATION. Buy two, get two free all month long. And the newest sponsor of the Maryland Crab Cake Tour, that is our friends at Jiffy Lube Multi-Care. My little orange light went on. I got to take my car over to Merritt Boulevard and make sure I get my oil change. This guy hasn't been on in 2 weeks. I think his batteries are recharged here. Last time we got together, I think the Browns and the Ravens played, and then bad things happened to the Ravens. He didn't get to rub it in too much. We let Seth do that last week. And now that we're out of the baseball playoffs and we're into the Halloween competition and contest, we welcome John Martin back in here. Man, your agency's, giving billions of dollars away since the last time you left me here. How you been? A happy Halloween season to you.
Well, back at you. Now, I have to commend you. I like the new intro, the subtle change, but I caught it. Welcome home. I like, that's comforting. It's like
25 years. 32 years on the air. I still think maybe there's a first-time listener out there that's just tuning me in for the very first time and say, why does he say that? But for most people, if you've set your dial at AM 1570 anytime between 1998 and 2023, and you're listening on the radio, I want you to feel home. And if you're finding it on YouTube, anywhere we travel, at mdlottery.com, sometimes we're out there. It is a little bit of a comforting feeling.
It is. It's like having that blanket, that crackling fire, that hot cocoa on a brisk morning, that scratching off a winning lottery ticket, all those good feelings when just in that welcome home message. So
I'm here on Monday morning, whether the Orioles win or lose, whether the Ravens win or lose, here I am doing it. And you know what? You guys gave away a lot of money. I didn't get a chance to talk jackpots and all that. And Seth, the night before he came on, he's like, I hope somebody hits it tonight. And I'm thinking, do you really? Don't you want it to go over 2 billion? I mean, didn't you want to set a record?
I'll have to talk to young Seth about that. We'll have a little counseling session. Clearly, we want people to get excited about it. We want them to be enthusiastic. We want them to play responsibly. We want them to enjoy it, have some fun, play with friends in a group setting, if that be the case. But ultimately, we kind of feel a little when it's all over. But a lot of fun, and a lot of people went along the way. The focus is on $1.7 billion or whatever it ends up being,
and that's where it should be.
And that's where it should be. But you realize we have 9 tiers of prizes, right up from $4 all the way up to the jackpot.
And I bet a lot of people, when they play, like my wife, she would be completely shocked if you said, hey, you won 50 grand or 100 grand because you had the Powerball, or you had the 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 or whatever, those things, that there's 9 of them. So I don't even know if you could explain all 9 of them without having a list in front. But everybody plays to win the big banana. I wouldn't feel bad if you brought me 100 grand. I really wouldn't. And you do that all the time, right?
You can go to our website at mdlottery.com and read up on some of these winner stories, and they are fun. They're like little chapters in a book of winning. Hey, I like that.
By the way, who writes the headlines? Is that Doug or is that Roz? Who writes the headlines at MD? Because I love this headline.
It's not me.
Grandma wins 50 grand while husband loads groceries into car. How do I not click on that and read that? How do I not want to know more about that?
So let's do that. Let's do that. And when you click on that, you get a picture of the winner holding her oversized check, and it's paid to the order of Goofy Ruthie, and self named.
Lucky Richie, she won 50 grand.
Yeah. So she and her husband are going out shopping, and push the cart through the aisles. They get a ton of groceries, and she tells hubby, hey, load up the back seat. I'm going to go back in and get us some lottery tickets.
This happens all the time with me. It's usually at the Rofo. I'll get outside with a 2-piece chicken, which I got for my birthday. Thank you, Royal Farms. Appreciate that last week on my app. And then my wife runs back in. We got to, it's 800 million. I got to run back. So she does that all the time. So I understand this.
And Goofy Ruthie was actually playing a scratch off ticket. It wasn't even a Powerball win. So she goes back and gets a $5 Lucky Riches scratch off and wins the top prize, $50,000.
This happened at 6340 York Road in Baltimore at the Giant, right down there by Channel 2. So yeah, I mean, people are winning right down the street from us. That could have been me. Could have been you. Could have been anybody.
And it's always great when you hear about people coming from other states, coming in and swooping in and being winners and enjoying the experience. We had a Delaware man, a young man by the name of Christopher Hudson from Delaware, who, from time to time will come over into Maryland for his job and do some work as a part-time landscaper, and walks into a 7-Eleven in Ocean City. Again, a scratch-off winner, our $100,000 crossword, 7th edition, for those of you keeping score. And he wins $100,000.
My wife and I play Wordle every night. I don't win anything.
I've not gone in. Briefly give me the 25 words or less. What is Wordle?
It's not 25 words or less. It's 5 letters. So it's 5-letter word every day, and you have to figure out what it is. And you begin with and it tells you what letters you've got right or wrong. You have the whole alphabet below you. So it's a little bit like Scrabble, but you're trying to deduce what the word could be. Like if you use the word adieu, A-D-I-E-U, right? That's a good starter word because it's a lot of vowels. Think Wheel of Fortune, right? You're trying to solve. So you get an A, you get an I, it'll tell you the A's in the right space. And now the word begins with an A and you have an I, and then you have to figure out, all right, how do I do this? So that's Wordle. Does that make sense? Did I entice you in any way?
So there's only one win. There's only one word.
But you don't win $100 grand. You just
No.
high five your wife and say, "Hey, we solved it tonight."
Yeah, it's bragging rights, which count for a lot of.
And
things.
then she goes out on Facebook, and then But the one thing you can't do with Wordle, and I want to be honest with everyone, don't tell people on social media what the word. You know what I mean? Don't.
Oh yeah.
Don't wreck it.
No, absolutely.
Right.
So there is a Wordle on high that comes down from the mountaintop, and it's the one word that everyone's playing.
This was the Wordle thing's interesting because it's a dude came up with it and it caught on, and then the New York Times bought it for like $1 billion. So it's like a New York Times adjunct at this point. But my wife's addicted to it. It's our dinner thing. You know what I mean? So I understand like crosswords and winning money. I see the allure of all of this and why the scratch off. Because I often wonder, I really do, and maybe you could speak to this. When I'm in Costas, let's say, and you have the big machine there, and you have all the tickets in there and a lot. What makes someone play like a certain game versus another game? Or in this case, the Raven scratch off, obviously you might want to win tickets for life or Jacksonville or trips or whatever, or you just love the purple bird. But like, do all the games have sort of the same probability of winning? I mean, would you pick a game over another game to say, I want to play this one or that one because the odds are better?
It used to be when we started this many years ago, because this is our 50th year, as you're well aware. They were more rigid. The prize structure, as we call it, for a $1 ticket was pretty much the same. It differed from a $2 ticket and all up the line. But now we've evolved to clearly, as you see when you go into any retail location, it's colors, it's words that catch your eye. It's the top dollar prize for some people. But even within a specific price point, like a $10 price point for a scratch off ticket, we could have a $100,000 top prize where there may only be 5 or 6 of them in the entire state. Or we could go the other end of the spectrum, and maybe the top prize on the $10 ticket is $10,000, significantly lower, but we have hundreds of them. So people have to say, gee, where do I want to invest my $10? Do I want to buy one $10 scratch off ticket where the top prize is $100,000, but there's so few of them, and I can win lower amounts? Or do I want to go to the other $10 ticket, which has a top prize of only $10,000, but there are hundreds of them, so my odds of getting a top prize are a little bit better than they would be on ticket A. And that's
so like the $2 ticket, as an example. I was at Hollywood Casino the other day. I literally gave out almost 100 of these like that day, and everybody was captive. It was 9:30 in the morning watching the game. Had a good ending, weird, but a good ending. And I said to everybody, hey, how many of you won? And I mean, it must have been a dozen people. And I said, what did you win? $5, $10, $3, $8. nobody won 100 that time, but I've had $100 winners. I have not had a $20,000 winner at Coco's or at Pappas or, any of my places. But like, I could. I mean, I have the same tickets
Sure.
everybody else has, so they could stand up and win. But you're saying that the $5 ticket would be the 50,000, or the 10 would be the 100,000. That maybe I wouldn't see as many $2 and $3 and $5 winners. Maybe.
Oh, correct. I mean, when you go to
Okay.
mdlottery.com and look at our scratch off catalog, if you will, it will be very very specific and tell you what the top prize is. It will tell you how many of those top prizes are remaining.
It does correlate to a difference between a $2, $5, $10, and a $25 ticket, right? Literally.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Because again, every scratch off has at a minimum a break even prize. So a $2 ticket will have a $2 win. A $10 ticket will have a $10 win as the minimum wins, and then
Understood.
they progress up like a pyramid. So at the top is the top prize, no matter how many there are. But at the bottom of the period, the break even, or the pyramid, the break even prizes, the 2, 3, 5 times the prize. A lot of people think if they can get 5 times their investment, that's a good deal, right? I mean, they buy a $10 ticket. If they can win $50, well, that's not too bad. They buy a $2 ticket and they win $10. Again, that's not bad. So, some people go through the multiplier logic that say, boy, if I'm going to buy these tickets, if I can get this amount of money, I'll either reinvest in other tickets, or I'm going to call it a day, go home, put it in the win column, and try to get another time.
John Martin is here. He's executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming. We'll get to that and the casino life and sports wagering and all that, because every month we're adding up numbers. And obviously this football season, there'll be a little bit more of that. I do find it fascinating that, the psychology of people playing, but more than that, the fact that you come on our show every week and we have a partnership and we do crab cake tours, but people really do win 100 grand. And this happens all. I get a little bummed when it's a guy from Delaware. You know what I mean? I'm thinking coming across the state line and winning. And I didn't like, that feels to me to be like not the way it's supposed to work, but certainly open for everyone. And you're happy to give money away to somebody across the state line if they come in and buy a ticket, right?
Well, don't worry about it, because some schmuck at the Delaware lottery is paying people off Marylanders who come over there and in Pennsylvania. So there's a reciprocity. The borders are open both ways.
You're not going to get a Maryland crab cake in Delaware. That's all I'm telling you.
No, sir.
No.
And you're not going to get Nestor Aparicio and John Martin. That's for darn sure.
All right, for the Ravens game, because I want to get this in, because we're home this week. We're going to have competition down there this week. We're getting into the middle of the season here. How long can we expect to see the Ravens game? I have them, and I'll have them on the Crab Cake Tour next month. Ross has made sure that I'm going to have them throughout the season. But at what point do they just sort of run out? And also, we're getting a little late on the trip, at least this year, but you have other grand prizes out for the Ravens game, right?
Well, hang on. We still have until, if you are a Ravens fan, or if you're even listening to this Ravens ticket discussion for the very first time, go to mdlottery.com and check out our second chance contest. And we have a great opportunity for Ravens fans, or people who play the Ravens tickets, both the $2 and the $5 level. We will draw for our second Jacksonville away trip game, which is in December, but we will draw on October 23rd. So you can get your entries into My Lottery Rewards. Again, go to the website for all the details. You can get your entries in by October 22nd. You may be the second lucky winner of the two and join our first lucky winner, Mr. Dale Robinson of Gwynn Oak, Maryland, on the team plane to go to Jacksonville for the away game in December, and hopefully come back with a big Ravens victory and a great experience.
I don't know where I am with Jacksonville or the Ravens. I don't know who are these teams? Who are the Eagles? Who are the 49ers at this point? The league's crazy, and then it's fun.
Wait, I'm sorry. The 49ers? I can tell you who they are.
They got hurt. And then your team
please. Won. Oh, please.
Listen, this is crazy. I've never heard of your quarterback. Once you get past Deshaun Watson, these second and third string quarterbooks, it's amazing you can win a game with a backup quarterback. Really.
It's very simple. He is the victorious quarterback, PJ Walker.
You like those weird uniforms they're wearing? They don't look like the Browns to me. Maybe that's why they're playing better. I'm just saying.
We may be seeing more of those uniforms.
I do comedy. I do radio. It's what I do. Yeah. We have a little checkbox on the backside of our site that says, "Is this a comedy piece?" And I'm thinking they're all kind of comedy pieces, right? I mean, literally.
Hey,
right?
Life is comedy, and if
God
it's
for
not,
that.
if it's not, you're playing the wrong game.
Well, our baseball team lost since the last time we got together. Anything you want to kick any dirt on them, or you done?
No, no, not at all. Hey, no. I've been saying from back to spring training, this is a young, exciting team. They certainly overshot, over delivered this year. I didn't expect them to win 100 games and win the division, but I thought they would make continuous improvement, and they have. And I
Just
think
win one playoff game. Just one.
yeah. But you got to get in the playoffs first before you can win one. So
Luke did the math on this. They've lost 8 in a row in the postseason. That's 3 here, then the 1 in 16 with the Zach Britton thing, and then in 14 it was 4 in a row after Delman Young, right? Like so 4 in a row to Kansas City. So we've had 8 consecutive like national anthems, bunt, starting pit, like we need to win one, and we got to wait a year to do that again. We got to go be good again, and like baseball, man. And by the way, and I'll leave you with this, and we'll get on to sports wagering, but seeing the Phillies pitching and seeing the Rangers pitching, at least early in these series, and who knows how it turns out by the time people listen to this on the weekend, because it's baseball and it happens every day. Pitching in October, we talk about it the other 11 months of the year, and then you look up and you're like, oh, 4 hitters, they 10-0. When you see great pitching in October, that's where it matters, right?
And you talk about who is the quarterback for the Browns. Who are these guys pitching? I mean, I realize I'm not a National League guy to begin with, but I have no idea who's starting for the Phillies or the
Aaron Nola's
Diamondbacks.
been around a while. Wheeler's been around a minute, and they were in the World Series. So, like, we need to watch more baseball here the next couple of weeks and get inspired.
We do.
That's what I've said.
Do.
I'm not mad about any of this. I'm inspired by greatness. I'm inspired by watching the Rangers win 8, 7 in a row, whatever they've won in the postseason. To look at it and say that's where we need to be. And when I see Nate Eovaldi out here looking like Clemens in his prime or looking like Feller, I'm saying he had some postseasons where he was young too.
So sure.
I'm going to pick Grayson Rodriguez up. I'm going to pick up, John Means to get healthy next year, and obviously Kyle Bradish will be better. Let's talk
a starter to be determined.
From your lips to God's ears, we have all this depth. We're going to talk trades and pitching and offseason. John Martin's here from the Maryland Lottery. We're going to get the Crab Cake Tour back out on the road so he can come and have a crab cake with us as well. Sports wagering. Give me an update on that. I've learned a lot, obviously traveling around with baseball and baseball wagering and people parlaying and all that kind of stuff. What has it meant for the state? What has it meant for the agency? And we're finally like mature. I remember back when you were all sweaty palms about, we got to get this open. We got to get the casinos open. We got to get mobile open. Now it feels like it's open and structured now, a little more mature, I would say, right?
It is. Today we have 13 retail operations and 12 mobile, 25 sports books around the state, and most of them started at the beginning of the NFL season and the college football season. So we're 1 quarter into the books, right? July, August, September. We're 1 quarter into our fiscal year, and the reports are good. We have delivered over $9 million to the state, our tax revenues. Now, it's not straight math. You don't just multiply 9 million times 4 and say we'll be at 36 million because of the ebb and flow of the sports calendar and where the peak wagering events happen. But I think it's fair to say that we will exceed our 25 to 30 million estimate. Last year, we just exceeded a little over $25 million. I thought we'd be closer to 30. Don't tell my boss I said this, but we may be north of 30. It's still early. Again, it's the first quarter of the year, but projections are strong for we'll probably do more than $30 million in tax revenue.
That second quarter and third quarter are the toughest though, right? Like the middle year, because I'm a sports guy my whole life, the whole calendar. You're going to have playoff games. You're going to have March Madness kind of first quarter. April, May, June, Masters.
Oh, sure. No, it drops off.
Like people, traditionally Americans don't wager on that stuff. Traditionally.
No, correct. And when I'm talking about quarters, I'm really talking about our fiscal year. So that's going to screw off your calendar year.
Right. Of course.
But yeah, I mean, we're trending up. I mean, the next 3 months, October, November, December, will be strong football on both.
It'll be the strongest, right?
Will be the strongest. And then, of course, January and February through the Super Bowl, which is still the pinnacle, will be extremely strong, whether the Ravens are in it or not. But the longer the Ravens are in it, the better it will be locally, obviously. And then you'll get maybe a little more enthusiasm for the spring of the year with baseball season and people a little anxious about the O's getting back in. So we may see a little pickup in the spring that we wouldn't normally see. But then, yeah, then you come, May, June, July, August, it does kind of dry up a little bit. But I think overall, it's a very strong start. We continue to work through people in the pipeline to come on board, and where we have additional licenses to vet and approve, we will do that. But right now, I think we're seeing a fairly mature market in the state of Maryland, and but it's a positive thing. So far, everything's going well.
So I gotta give you a hard time because you say Ravens, Ravens, Ravens. I'm thinking the Washington football team probably provides, if they were to
There
ever
you
get
go.
up and walk again, like, you know what I mean? Like you're a
Yep.
Browns fan, proud tradition, and there's a lot of Browns fans. They haven't had a lot to crow about. Same thing down in Washington, that if that team ever picked up and moved, it would probably ring numbers in Montgomery County and Southern Maryland, places that are footholds for the burgundy and gold, that would make a difference too, right? For the state of Maryland.
Absolutely. So did I hear you say you're supporting a Browns Commanders Super Bowl? Is that, are we going out early on that
As long as I'm
forecast?
not on the planet when that happens, yes. I
Okay.
mean,
Well,
and the interesting thing is, I could bet on it now if I wanted to. I mean, if I want,
that's the beauty of it.
right? If I wanted to say maybe that could be there, but I'm just trying to figure out the Phillies and the Rangers here as well. John, last thing for you, it's Halloween season. You have a Halloween. When I did the welcome home thing back 15 minutes ago, I like your funny little promotions. And when I go to mdlottery.com, not just fun headlines and fun winners and all that, but you are trying to be seasonal, whether it's horse racing stuff around the Preakness or whether it's seasonal to Halloween. And I'm sure we'll be having eggnog and peppermint something for the holiday cards that are coming out real soon too.
Absolutely. And thanks for the segue. Very well played there. Next week, you can visit your Maryland Lottery retailers and see the beginning of our holiday scratch off tickets. So we'll talk more about that when we talk next week. But
Can we do some caroling next week, maybe on the show, you and I sing some?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Wouldn't radios be turning off all over the state of Maryland if we did a little holiday duet?
I bought eggnog the other night, and that's changed my whole perspective on things.
Wait,
You know what I mean?
eggnog now?
I couldn't believe it myself. I was at the Wise, I looked up, and there it was, and I'm like, I'm gonna have some of that in my car. I got some right here in my Royal Farms coffee right now. I do.
Wow.
Delicious. It's never too early for eggnog.
I'm not eggnog. I am.
Are you gonna dog pumpkin spice on me right now? Here.
No. Pumpkin spice is fine.
All right. I'm just making sure you're a good American. That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
All Americans love pumpkin spice. John Martin is here. He's the executive. So Halloween, that's still going on for another.
Halloween will go on from through the month of October, and enter your pick 3, pick 4, pick 5 tickets into a second chance contest, and you may be one of lucky $5,000 winners or five $10,000 winners of cash prizes at the end of the month. So stay tuned, mdlottery.com for more details.
All right. If we learned them up good enough for this week, are we good?
I think so. I feel good about it. I feel home. I feel like I'm home.
All right, we might have some World Series teams by the time we get together. John Martin is the executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming. He gives us these really cool Raven scratch-offs to give away on the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. Roz actually gives them to us. And Doug will take care of you if you win 10 grand or 20 grand from one of our competitions as well. You can find it all at mdlottery.com. You can find our Crab Cake Tour up. Picture me and my son having old fashions at Drug City right there at the fountain with Chuck. My dear friend and science teacher, George Schulen, retired, joined us last week, as well as I brought Luke out. I dragged Luke out to the Crab Cake Tour to actually sit down and talk about something other than Ravens, Orioles. We actually talked about his church a little bit and being Deacon Jones and beverages and off-season and all that good stuff. And you can find Luke at Baltimore Positive as well. Maryland Crab Cake Tour firing it back up with our friends at Window Nation, as well as Jiffy Lube Multicare. Plenty of places. We're going to Coco's. We're going to Pappas. We're going back to State Fair. We're going to be down at Costas for the holidays, and we're going to be at Fadley's down at Lexington Market one more time before they move into the new market. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. You are home. We are BaltimorePositive.com.